Julian Black, I'm IT recruiter, 5.5 years in the Navy, and it's kind of generated the question. So, for example, in the Navy, they kind of see everybody as a sailor, right? If you're male or female, you're a sailor, right? So it's gender agnostic, but there is an archetype, right, to be successful, So, obviously that's existed in the corporate world for a long time. The question is, how do you avoid, either male or female, teaching emerging leaders, how female leaders, to avoid trying to, fit that male-dominated culture? Is it the emotional intelligence of the company as a whole meeting in the middle? Or is that just, rather than trying to figure out how to communicate with men or men trying to communicate with women, how do you manage that, as a frontline leader?
Well, I do think it has to start, it has to be top down, I think. But yeah, well, it also has to be bottom up, frankly. But I do think it's a cultural thing. And you mentioned emotional intelligence, and that's one of the things I was thinking about too. In that, I think we need more focus on that. And people just, we just need really, like I said before, we're all diverse. It doesn't matter, color, gender, religion. We all got to where we are in different ways, and so there is no one type of anything. And we just all have to, and lead by example, right? We have to be willing to be ourselves. Clearly, we've got our very outspoken. doesn't fit the mold type, but very successful in her career. So, yeah, we really need the support of our leaders though as well. So for the leaders that are out there, I hope you're hearing that.
Yeah. So, do you live in Jacksonville? Okay. So, Jacksonville, and hopefully this doesn't come as a surprise to anybody. There's a lot of the Good Old Boys Network in Jacksonville. I said it. Is anybody recording? Yeah. So that exists. And there are certain companies that exemplify that behavior more than others. I am an advocate for, if the door is open and I have an opportunity, that I'm going to bring some other women along. Now, it's a problem because I have male folks that work for me that are in the room sitting next to my row of leaders. My entire leadership team, for the most part, are women, right? And there were times when that bothered me. But now I'm like, you put them up against anybody. Bring your A game and your A team, and I'll bring mine, and we'll see how this thing fares out, right? So I think you talked about emotional intelligence, and that is, I am an advocate for emotional intelligence. Like, I drill it into any leader that's a part of the team that I'm on. I am saying more than anything else, I don't care how highly technically skilled you are. If you don't know how to walk in this emotional intelligence space, you're just not going to be successful, right? I'd be crazy to think that because somebody was a certain age or a certain gender, that they could not perform at a specific level. So I think in our religious world, we say something like, try the spirit by the spirit, right? I think you have to know who it is that you're engaging and assess that person. And it's hard because we have these biases and these preconceived notions going on in our heads, and it's hard to step out of that sometimes and really just be fair. But I think if we were true to ourselves, more people in general were just true to themselves. And really, the word that keeps coming up is authenticity, right? I have always believed that, Melissa, you cannot, even if I wanted to fake, like, I forget that I'm supposed to be faking, I can't be anything else but authentic. And I think when people are real and they're authentic, their leadership qualities will rise to the top. I think they will perform better than trying to be someone else. So I encourage particularly those women leaders that you don't have to try and fit in. You don't even have to try to be this tough girl, right? Just be yourself. Be who you are. Show up, and really show up, right? And if you show up, get the job done, I don't see why you couldn't advance. And I may be limited in my thinking on that, but I'm going to ride that out.
So I think we have a little bit more time for one or two more questions. Okay, perfect.
Thank you for all your insight. I want to ask, this is entirely new to me, and I appreciate y'all letting me come today. But I want to ask, how does, most of you all are focused on the for-profit venue. What about, I have a nonprofit. How can I get IT, how can I get this technology and craft it to help my nonprofit?
All right, I'm gonna start only because I've worked at 2 nonprofits, so we both use technology. And so I don't think, now the only time when it comes into place is that maybe if sometimes the funding, sometimes for-profits have better funding. That's not always the case either. So without knowing what your nonprofit, what the size is, your budget, that's kind of hard to tell. I know you can't really run a successful company without technology. I can definitely tell you that.
We need to hook him up with Matthew Parks.
Yes, so we can hook you up with a mentor and somebody who can help guide you in your technology. All right.
See you so.
Okay, hi, I'm AJ. My question relates to kind of what he was just asking a minute ago, but when it comes to like being authentic, being a woman, being a leader, working in technology, how do you navigate when other women are competitive to a point of not accepting either that you're outgoing or that you're trying to keep up with them, or how do you navigate when it is seen as a threat?
That's gonna happen regardless, I'm gonna tell you that. I think we all have faced that, right? All right, so I think you're gonna face that anyway. You're gonna face it on the male side and with other women. So, I mean, and that's just part of, I think that's part of life. Sometimes you don't even do anything to warrant it, and you can't control anyone else. I have learned that. So all you can do is to do you, okay, and keep on stepping, because I'm gonna tell you, you cannot control anyone else. I don't care what you do, and changing for someone else usually does not work.
So I had a very specific situation like that happen to me, another woman, and it was bad. I mean, I'd go home crying because she would just tear me down and build herself up. And what it did is it gave me new resolve to just double down and just, basically kick her butt professionally. So, I did. I worked harder, longer, smarter, and just let my actions basically speak louder than her words. But that wasn't easy. But I literally, through the tears, I said, you know what? I'm going to get through this, and I'm going to show her. Yeah. So that was the attitude I had to take. I had to change my attitude about her. And then I was just as nice as I could be to her every time I saw her.
And we're the worst with each other, right? Yeah, the men kind of compete, but they don't see us as their equal. So, I mean, they ain't got to waste their time competing, right, for the most part. But women, we are more critical of each other. We, if you're doing your thing, we're talking about, well, her hair was out of place, and did you see the shoes that she had on? And just, I mean, we are critical of each other. But what I've learned is, and particularly when I come across other powerful women, that are doing their thing, is I want to hook up with them. Like, I don't have what you have, but if the two of us are together, we're some bad girls, right? So I don't necessarily have to have what she has, right? But I can partner with her. I can link up with her, and together, we're better. We're better together. And so I think if we change the mindset of, I don't have to compete with you. There's enough to go around that you can get a piece of the pie and I can get a piece of the pie, right? But you may have some stuff that I don't have, and you can teach me. I can share what I know with you. But I think partnering with women is where our strength really comes from, right? If we drop the crab mentality and pick up the partnership mindset, I think we'd be, all would be further along.
I think we have one more question.
Hi. Oh, yay, I got in. I'm so excited. First of all, thank you, because this has all been extremely valuable, I'm sure to most of us in the room, at least all of us. So my question is, we talked about earlier that we all recognize that there are few women in this space, right, in the IT space. There are even fewer African-American women in this space, minority women in this space. So I've noticed myself, a lot of women will, after years of trying to break through in their corporate jobs or fighting their way to the top, doing everything that needs to be done, they decide, that's it. I've had it, I'm done, and I'm going to go and start my own company. So what advice do you have for a woman that says, I'm tired and I'm going to start my own and I can do this?
So I'll let Dr. Norfleet go. Oh, you want to go first? Because she's living this right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm living
her
this.
coattail.
Right. All right. First of all, be prepared, okay? When I got ready to do this, I had a great support team of women and some men too, but definitely I had my, my female group support. I had to kind of did my homework to make sure that there was a need for what I wanted to provide. And you know what? People fail because the finances are funny. So make sure your finances, and depending on the type of business, it doesn't take a lot to start a business, but be prepared. I know when I wrote my business plan up, I said, I'm not making anything in the first year. Can I live with that? And thankfully I didn't have to, but I made sure that I could, because most businesses fail in that first year because they think, 2 or 3 months they're gonna be making money and make the same thing, what they make. And so I would definitely say those were probably the things that really stuck out. But you know what? I'll be celebrating my 3rd year in 2 weeks. And it's good.
Julie?
So before I pass it to her, so this is something that I lose sleep about all the time, right? I'm like, dang, Melissa, like you can just kind of be out there doing your thing, right? Like the sky's the limit. You're in this little box and people are limiting you and tripping, right? So like go do your own thing. And then I start thinking about like my kids in private school, and I kind of like the house I live in and the car that I drive. And these people pay me a good little salary, right? So anyway, that starts to make me sit back in my chair like, well, wait a minute now, not so fast. And you think you're smart, but still. I would say you have to release that fear and get an entrepreneurial spirit. Like you gotta live this thing so until you're like, I can't let it go, right? And I feel like sometimes I'm almost there where I'm like, I can't let it go. Like I gotta do my own thing. I gotta do my own thing. And I'm preparing for that now, right? Truth be told, I'm preparing for it. I already know I can't work for the people all my life. Like I get it, I ain't that chick, right? And after a certain place, I realize that you can't go no higher. So go make this thing work for yourself, right? But I believe that until we let go of those fears the first year, like I can't go 1 year without getting my salary. Right, kudos to you, sister, but I can't, right? So I already know.
Preparation.
Yeah, so lots of preparation, right? And don't be scared. I'm just scared.
Yeah, so I'm the founder of our company, and it's 10 years old right now. And thank you. And I'm going to echo what both Wendy and Melissa said is, you have to be prepared. You have to really know what you're in for. But I'll also add that you've got to recruit people to work with you and for you that you know and trust already. So when we started OnPay Solutions, I acquired the assets of another technology company, rebranded them as OnPay. I acquired a staff member, but then I also recruited one of my best friends that I had worked with in a previous position with Coca-Cola. She'd never done anything in software sales. She didn't know anything about business-to-business payment technology. But she knew me and I knew her. We knew each other. We were able to train her on what we did. And she helped us with inside sales and then external sales for more than 2 years. And as we were growing, and we're basically bootstrapped. The whole company is bootstrapped all the way through almost last year. We were growing the business, and we were reinvesting everything we were making back into the business the whole time. So, it's something that you have to be prepared for, and you have to be willing. It's a lot of work, but it's really rewarding too, to know that it's something that you start yourself and you create yourself, and then you look around and you see. We were having a conversation with our children one night at dinner about, well, why don't we do these things? And why don't you drive those cars? And why don't you have all that? And I'm like, well, we have 20-something employees, and if I think about how many spouses they have and how many children they have, oh, well, it's because we're helping like 85 people in the community right now, but not just us. It's not just us. It's not all about us. And so that's that's part of the entrepreneurial spirit. It's not all about you. It's all about what you can do to better the lives of your clients or your customers and the lives of your employees, because that's what you're in business for.
Yeah. And clearly, don't underestimate the power of networking, right? So I'm holding on to Juliet's hand when we leave here because she's got the spirit, right? I'm linking up already with Dr. Norfleet because she's got the spirit. So as women, we need to not underestimate the power of hooking up with the people that's been there, done that, got the T-shirt, right?
So the one thing I did want to add, I haven't started a company, but I left Accenture when there were 140,000 employees, and I went to a company where I was employee number 3. So big risk, big change, and I had twins at home. But there's things that you're good at, but also know what you're not good at and where you need to engage other professionals. Because we all wore many hats, but there were some hats we couldn't wear, just the 3 of us. So that would be my other advice, is think about where your skill sets are and where you need to, engage others. Yeah. But that wasn't quite as uplifting as what she said. Maybe I should let her close.
Well, ladies, thank you so much. Everybody give them a round of applause. What a great panel. I can literally feel the empowerment in this room. So thank you so much for sharing all your stories. Hopefully we'll be able to work towards a stronger future for women and gather our allies. So hopefully everybody can join us. But a special thanks to our Eagle Dream team, Amazon Web Services, the Jax IT Council, and PS27 Ventures for all of your support. You guys have all been such a great, lovely audience, so round of applause. Yeah. Love that. Probably one of the most energetic crowds I've ever seen, so thank you, Jacksonville, for welcoming us. Please help yourself to lunch during the networking event, and have a great day, guys.